Hi all, this is Allmighty and welcome to this video. So don't worry about the background, it is I would say temporary because today I just didn't manage to record it in time in the newer room when I recorded the last previous videos. But enough about that, let's just jump right into the video. Today I wanted to share a game with you between Shakhriyar Mamedyarov here with the white pieces and Hikaru Nakamura with the black pieces. Probably know the reason. The new winner, the new champion of the Grand Chess Tour in Paris was indeed Hikaru Nakamura. And I would say it was kind of expected after he was so close to actually overcoming Wesley So in Leuven. This time he managed to do it because after the rapid tournament he was only a point behind him. So in the end, accumulating the points from both of the tournaments, he managed to overcome him and indeed win the whole Grand Chess Tour the whole Grand Chess Tour tournament in Paris, France. I will show you the standings after the game, so the standings from the Blitz tournament and the combined standings, but here let me just first show you how he played against Mamedyarov. One other thing that I would like to mention is that Hikaru won when he played 18 games in the Blitz tournament. He did win 7 of them, so which is in itself quite a nice result, and he only had 1 loss. And it was actually a loss, I think, against Mamedyarov when he played with the white pieces. But one interesting thing is that Hikaru managed to win 5 games with black pieces. So yeah, it was really a nice result. So let's see how he played in this game. After d4 knight to f6, we have knight to f3, e6, and then playing e3, the use of Rubinstein system. And Hikaru decides that he wants to be the one who is actually dictating the tempo of the game, first countering in the center with c5, and then after bishop to d3 even playing d5, so occupying the center pretty fast. And we will see after a couple of moves how actually Mamedyarov responds to it. First we see b3, so deciding to develop the bishop on b2, knight to c6, and first we have castles. Bishop to e7, bishop to b2, and castles by black as well. So first and foremost, both of the players just developing pieces. Knight from b to d2, and now b6. Also, Nakamura wants to develop the bishop on b7. He doesn't see him developing it on this diagonal anytime soon. So first we have a3, and now bishop to b7. Now queen to e2. Now all of the white pieces are developed, the rooks are connected, and also for black, after queen to c7, all of the pieces developed and rooks are connected. Now it's time to create a plan. After rook from a to c1 and rook from a to c8, both of the players put the rooks on c-files, also for white very important where the queen is, and now it's time to actually start to attack. We see c4, and I would say that the position is pretty much equal. Both of the players have the same pawn structure, and they have this bishop developed on these diagonals here. The knights are here pretty much the same, except for a couple of pieces not on the same position, so it isn't symmetrical, but I would say pretty equal. So Nakamura is the first one who decides that he wants to exchange the pieces a little bit. So first he starts with pawn captures on c4, pawn captures on c4, and now pawn captures on d4, and pawn recaptures on d4. Nakamura went for a very simple idea of having 2 pawn islands against 3 pawn islands, and playing against a weak a3 pawn, while on the other hand he did left this center to Mamedyarov. So now players have something to play for. First we see rook from f to e8, so not deciding to go for a semi-open d-file and pressure on the d-pawn, and rook from f to e1, Mamedyarov responds in the same manner. And now, as you might imagine, d5 is a move that can be played, opening up the position, and then with the rook here, attacking the queen. So because of that, here Hikaru plays queen to b8. Probably he could have played the queen on f4, but it is a blitz game, so you don't want to put the queen in the line of fire just yet, even though this is a much more active square and much more promising square, so improving the position of the queen. So now we have knight to e4, just centralizing the knight, and now knight to a5 by Nakamura. So opening up this bishop, this knight is attacked now by two pieces, maybe going for some exchanges, and then attacking on c4 with the rook and the knight. But because of that, we see knight from e to g5, and already white is having some attacking chances, first and foremost on this diagonal and also on these two pawns. So let's see how Nakamura goes about it. He plays a very nice move, so queen to f4, and this stops a very nice idea that white indeed had. So Mamedyarov goes for the knight sacrifice. So he sacrifices the knight for two pawns, knight to e6. And this is actually a very good decision overall, but especially in Blitz, because now Mamedyarov will have a very nice attack. Pawn captures on e6 and queen captures on e6, king has to go to h8, and now knight to e5. The combination of the knight and the queen with this idea on f7, smothered checkmates, it could be really nice. So this is why bishop to f8 is played, and now because of that, knight to f7 isn't possible. At least you can have a draw, because now king to g8, knight to h6, you can just play knight to f7, knight to h6, and it is a draw. But Mamedyarov, since he went for the sacrifice, and for a very good sacrifice at that, within a very active position, he definitely didn't want it to draw. This smothered checkmate isn't possible, because after this, knight to f7 isn't possible because the queen is actually covering that square. So because all of that, here in this position, queen to h3 was played, which is actually the best move in the position. Pressuring here on h7 with the queen and the bishop, and also threatening knight to g6, attacking and forking the king and queen. So king to g8, and now Mamedyarov missed a chance to go for the finishing move, which was bishop to f5. Bishop to f5 does come with the attack on the rook, but that isn't the main idea. If black plays something silly like a6, bishop to e6 is a threat. And now if you sacrifice the rook, which indeed you need to do of sorts, then yeah, this is just too much of an attack after king to h8. And having the same idea with knight to f7, then including the rook into the game, this is a much better position for white. Sorry. If you don't do that, if you go king to h8, then knight to g6, as previously mentioned, is a big threat, forking the king and queen. If you don't play a6, if you see, so your queen is essentially under attack. Of bishop to e6, knight to g6. If you want to move it, you figure out quite soon that the queen doesn't really have too much squares to go to. Queen to g5 and queen to h6 are the only move where the queen can go, but then still after queen to g5, for example, bishop to e6, king to h8, now knight to f7 is a threat. The same will go if queen is on h6 and you lose the queen. So just because of that, this is quite a bad position here for black. The best move is to play something like h6, and then you can just continue with bishop to e6. Then you don't continue with bishop to e6, but knight to g6. Now having the knight on g6, going for this bishop, the bishop which is very important to the defense, pushing d5, it would be a better position for white, definitely, and he can just continue with the attack. But here, after queen to h3 and king to g8, Mamedyarov goes for knight to d7 and completely blows the attack. But his idea was, I would say, good. So you want to deflect, as previously learned, this knight from the defense of the h7 square, capture with the queen, give a check with the bishop, and go about mating chances. But Nakamura resolves this idea quite simply with knight to e4. And now this knight is blocking this bishop, there is no attack on h7, this bishop is defending it, the rook is defending it, all is well for black. Here Mamedyarov plays f3, but knight comes on g5, attacks the queen, and defends on h7. So queen to h5, moving out of the way. Here rook to e1 was possible, and after rook to e1, queen to d2, just attacking both of the bishops and rook, and having a piece up, still defending this knight, which is protecting the h7. This is a completely winnable just completely winning position for white. If the rook moves, you can give a check, capture the bishop, and if queen recaptures, you can go knight to c4, attack this bishop, then include bishop to a3. Everything is falling apart for white. But okay, Nakamura played rook to e3, and we see knight to e5. Knight to e5 going back, defending the bishop, and Nakamura wants to simplify. Rook captures on d3, knight captures on d3, and now queen to f5. Threatening knight to f3 with check, and you lose the queen because the bishop is also defending on f3. So d5 because of that, and now knight to c4. As you can see, white's position is falling apart. This pawn was very important because he is defending also the d5 pawn. Now this bishop is attacked, a very important attacking piece, so Mamedyarov keeps it, plays bishop to a1, but now bishop to d5. You lost your two main central pawns. Now once again knight to f3 is a threat, so king to h1, and we see rook to c6. Nakamura goes about finishing this game with a threat of rook to h6. So knight to f2. One other thing. Also, the whole time this knight was attacked, but black didn't want to capture it because queen to g5 would be, I would say, improving our position for white, having the bishop and the queen eye on g7. So because of that, we see rook to c6 and knight finally going away to f2. Now he isn't attacked, but rook to h6 was possible here, going about finishing this game. Yeah, just beautifully. After queen to g4, you have this knight to f3. A knight to f3 sacrificing the queen, and if queen capture, rook to h2 is checkmate. So, and also if you play pawn captures on f3, bishop captures on f3, still you lose the queen. So here h3 should have been played, and now queen to g4, knight to g4, and rook to h3. And after this you have to recapture, knight captures on e1 with check, bishop can come into the game, knight will come on d3 as well. This rook will be attacked. It is a losing game for white. But okay, once again Nakamura tries to do it as simple as possible. He plays queen to g6. Mamedyarov keeps the queen, doesn't want to exchange, but now knight to e3 attacks the queen, and also doesn't allow rook captures on e3 because rook captures on c1 and checkmate will follow. So rook to c6 is pretty much forced. Knight captures on g4, rook captures on g6, and now after knight to f2, Mamedyarov finally resigned the game. And the reason behind the resigning of the game is, of course, king to g1 is here the only move, and you can even play knight to h3. If you don't capture the knight, you simply lose the rook, so you capture it, but there is knight to f3, king to f2, and now you can even choose. Do you want to capture this rook or this rook? If you capture, let's say, this rook, then you are left with two pieces against a rook. You also have the bishop pair, and you are pawn up. So quite simply, it doesn't really make sense to play this endgame. These bishops are very strong. So yeah, this is pretty much it for this video. So don't know why I'm just going back there. Let me just, okay, sorry. So this was the final position of the game. Let me just, as I've promised, show you just quickly the standings. So these are the standings of the Blitz part of the tournament. As you can see, Nakamura was first with 12 points, and Wesley So shared the 5th place with only 9 points. So not a quite good result here in the Blitz tournament for Wesley. And yeah, just because of that, he didn't manage to win it in the end. Because in the end Nakamura had 23 points and Wesley only had 21 points. But okay, Karakan was also second with 21.5. It was a pretty big battle between Nakamura and Karakan during the Blitz tournament, but in the end Nakamura showed that he is a really a dangerous player to play against in a Blitz game. So yeah, this is pretty much it. Congratulations to Nakamura. Definitely looking forward to the next Grand Chess Tour tournament. And yeah, that is pretty much it. I would like to thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time.